Thank you, Madam Pro Tem, and thank you, Ms. Allison, for allowing me to ask you these questions. Myself, Senator Dahle, and Senator Caballero read your press release last night. We called our prison systems, the wardens, our city managers, our county board of supervisors, and no one knew about this announcement to close these facilities in our districts. I think that all of us, even though we're on different branches of government, should have some type of decency and respect that if the department is going to make a decision about closing facilities, then we should at least be somewhat notified in some type of advance order. And I'd like to talk to you about that specific subject, if that's okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so when I served in the Assembly and part of this, a small, very small, short time in the Senate, I worked on budgets that dealt with developmental centers in the state of California. When the developmental centers programs were being downsized and closed, they had a plan in place. They had an employment program. They put a plan together. They did an employment program for displaced staff. They conferred with county government and city government in the cities where these developmental centers were located, because there would obviously be an impact on the community that negatively impacts business because of job closures in these areas. They had at least one public hearing so that the public could be aware of the closure of these facilities. They actually had to submit a plan to the legislature that include a description of the stakeholder impact, including the description of local issues, concerns, recommendations regarding the proposed closures, and alternative uses of the property. They wanted to know the impact on residents and families, the resident placement, where would they go, the description of job opportunities for displaced employees, and the fiscal impact or closure specifically on the area, and a timeline for that closure. That's a far cry from what we just experienced with CDCR. So as, and I know that you've only been in charge for just a short amount of time, but can you tell me how you're gonna address this in the future?
Thank you, ma'am. I will say Governor Gavin Newsom did highlight the 2 prison closures in his 2021 budget. And then, of course, we are following the penal code guidance as it relates to facilities closures. So we've had various announcements of closures in the past and had not actually completed those for a variety of reasons, most of them population pressures. I will say our population is down, as I highlighted. We have 95,000. The reason for some of the reasons for the selections of a particular facility and that they're prioritized for closure is the cost to operate a facility, the current capacity, impact of closure on the workforce, the housing needs. We have to take into consideration gender responsive needs, whether we need whatever types of facilities that we need, the long-term investment in the facility, as well as public safety and the duration of the state's solution for overcrowding. So how do I say this? And I certainly will look at what you brought up as far as how other agencies have done this. Typically, these things are kept very confidential until the very end when we go to announce. There is an entire communication plan that is worked out to make sure that we are calling. I personally called the sheriff, I called the warden. We actually had the undersecretary of operations physically there yesterday to tell the staff first thing in the morning. We did the same thing for the announcement of DVI. Secretary Diaz physically was there. I would have been there yesterday myself had it not been for the hearing today. It's certainly not lost on me. It's a very difficult time for the staff. I will say through the voluntary transfer process for the staff at DVI, we're in the stages of getting that finalized where, to my knowledge, almost every single staff has a place to land, meaning another institution. We had numerous vacancies in the state when that decision was made. For example, CCC has 53% capacity. And so that's one of the factors that has to be taken into consideration. Tehachapi is 47% capacity on there. And when I say Tehachapi, it's just their secure level 1. So it's 1 yard within the institution of various yards. I think they have 4 or 5. And the same CTF is at 61%.
I'm not sure what's happening there.
Hold on just a second. Let us make sure we've got that covered.
How's that? Does that sound okay now? We're good? Okay.
think
Sorry,
we're
I'm not
good.
sure what happened there. Technology. Again, I just want to express my concern from the warden Cates in Tehachapi. There's 304 inmates and 74 staff. He found out this morning. I found out because my colleague asked me to ask these questions about a Susanville closure in his district, which is one of the largest employers in his district. And quite ironically, it's where you train all the inmate or incarcerated firefighters in a fire-prone area in fire season, which we deal with in the state of California. And that facility is closing. And then as I read the press release that was attached to it, I noticed that Tehachapi was there, and I noticed that Soledad was there. And so I text Senator Caballero, and she had no idea either. I just think that the way that you guys went about this needs to change. And I really do want a commitment from you that this type of activity won't continue in this way. And we should look at moving forward and modeling practices like other agencies, so that there is community input. I mean, even when you look at 74 staff, and even in Tehachapi, or you look at Senator Dahle's district or Senator Caballero's district with Soledad, there's impacts on our districts there. These people own homes, have cars, and yeah, you're gonna transfer them, but you're gonna transfer them to a different location, and they're not gonna buy or consume in these areas. And it's impactful on each one of our districts. And so I'm asking for a commitment